Okay, so did you know that there is a place in the old city of Jerusalem called the Tower of David? But here's the catch. It has actually nothing to do with King David of the Bible. Yeah, a bit of a mystery, but before we get there, it's important to note that this video is going to be a little different than our usual videos. And that's because we were not even supposed to film this. We got to Jerusalem with our friends Jeremy and Jocelyn, and we just wanted to show them some of the amazing old sites. But when we got here, we were met with police, lots of Israeli flags, and a huge amount of people, to the degree that at some point it got dangerously close to a stampede. We will show this to you soon and also talk about how to avoid this if you are in Jerusalem. And that's one of the points of this video. We have filmed the entire experience so that we could take you along with us on this little walk through the old city of Jerusalem. And in the process, we also got to visit for the first time in our lives the Tower of David, which actually has nothing to do with King David, but more on that soon. But it is unbelievable. It has the most beautiful views of Jerusalem we've seen, and we will show you how you can get here too, and for free. But let's trace back and start at the beginning. Here we are, we just arrived to Jerusalem, we picked up our friends from the train station, and we're walking through Jerusalem, and we realized that there's way more people than there usually is. There's so many people, and suddenly we start seeing all these flags, and we realize this is Jerusalem Day.
So somehow we made it to Jerusalem on Jerusalem Day. We didn't know it's going to be Jerusalem Day, but it is. And there's about 1 million people here. Well, I don't know if it's 1 million, but definitely feels like it.
So we enter the city through the Jaffa Gate, which is by the Tower of David, which we are going to soon. We'll show you something incredible. But then we make it through the Jewish quarter and descend down to the Western Wall area. There were a lot of people here, we took some pictures, we showed them around, and then we ascended the Temple Mount. It was an incredible experience. We actually got to go to a place we've never been to before, by the Eastern Gate. This is the famous Golden Gate, and we were able to go on top of it and see a view of the Gethsemane Garden, of the Mountain of Olives, like we've never seen it before. This is unbelievable. Wow. This is so cool. If you want to watch that video, look in the description below to find the link. So then as we exit the Temple Mount, we went out of the old city through the Lion's Gate and started descending down into Garden of Gethsemane. But as we got there, this is what we saw. Yeah, this is Jerusalem Day, celebrated on the 28th of the Hebrew lunar month Iyar, which kind of falls usually in the end of spring, beginning of summer. And it's funny because there was one of the comments in the previous videos asking us, how could you not know that this is Jerusalem Day? Aren't you Israeli? Don't you live here? And it's ironic, but true. We are Israelis, but sometimes you kind of get busy with life and forget about certain dates. Kind of like with any holiday, really. You know it's coming, but you don't know exactly when. And of course, it even gets more complicated when the holiday is attached to a lunar calendar. Like in this case, even though all of Israel plan, work, study, live according to the Gregorian calendar, which is what the Western world lives by, but the holidays are celebrated according to the lunar Hebrew calendar, which makes the holidays always on different dates every year. So if this was in May in 2023, it's going to be in June in 2024. So Jerusalem Day is an Israeli national holiday that commemorates the reunification of East and West Jerusalem during the Six-Day War in 1967. And everybody says reunification of Jerusalem. What does it even mean, reunification? It's a big word, but the story is actually simple. In 1947, before Israel was officially a country, the UN proposed a two-state solution, a Jewish state and an Arab state. But the question was, who is going to get Jerusalem? I mean, this is the most important place in the country, and both states want it. So the UN had a plan. They said, let Jerusalem be an international city. It will neither be exclusively Arab nor Jewish. But after 10 years, let the residents of Jerusalem decide which country they want to join. And the Jewish leadership accepted the plan, but the Arabs rejected this proposal. And all this led up to the war in 1948. After the UN declared Israeli independence, a big war broke out between the Arab countries and Israel. And the result was that Jordan, who was one of the countries on the Arab sides, captured East Jerusalem, which included the Old City. So all the way from 1948 until 1967, Jerusalem was divided in two, East and West. Like literally, you'd be able to see an actual wall. And today, if you go to Jerusalem, you could still see remains of those old walls that separate the two sides of the city. So the Israelis had their West Jerusalem, which includes the modern part of Jerusalem, while Jordan had the east of Jerusalem, which included the Old City Mount of Olives, and all of the kind of important sites to all religions, basically. But then in 1967, there was another war between Israel and neighboring countries called the Six-Day War, in which Israel captured back East Jerusalem from the Jordanians. And that is basically the Jerusalem Day, the day when the old city was captured back. And by now, you already know me and Rhoda. We never like to go into politics in our videos because that is not what our videos are about. They're about biblical sites and they're about Jesus. But since we found ourselves in the midst of this day and crowd, we thought it would be at least important to explain what is going on and why you see all these flags here. Especially if you ever come here and you happen to be here on this day. In the future, it will now make sense. But please do take all of this history lesson with a grain of salt. We are not historians, and if we were, there's always a way to tell a story that favors one side over the other. You can read one history book and it says the Arab states, they are the ones who started the war, and then you read another history book on the same war and they will say, oh no, but Israel provoked it, and etc, etc. So we think the best way is to study the events on your own and read all sides and then come up to your own conclusions of the whole situation. And of course, it's not the purpose of this video to go into this political side of things, but we just wanted to show you the events of this day, because they did happen, and then make it back to the city and go up to the Tower of David to show you some incredible view of the old city, like we've never seen it before. And then, of course, after we see the Tower of David, we are going to show you what happened when we tried to leave the old city of Jerusalem, when all of the crowd was trying to get in. It got to a point where it was actually dangerous, and wanted to warn you if you are in this situation, what to do and maybe what to avoid. So stay tuned. So we started heading back, and this is the road in the old city that would take us back to the Tower of David. And there were still so many people here. A lot of the streets were just absolutely packed. So just to give you a visual understanding of where we are walking, a few moments ago, we were at the Garden of Gethsemane, where you've seen all of that police and all of the crowd. And so we walked through the Valley of Kidron, went up to the old city of Jerusalem and entered the Dunk Gate, where the Western Wall is. Then we made it through the Jewish quarter and then into the Armenian quarter and into this final street that leads up to the Tower of David. And that's where we are walking right now. So the old city of Jerusalem is divided into 4 quarters: the Christian, the Muslim, the Jewish, and the Armenian. And it's not like there are walls between these 4 quarters, it's just one old city, but there is a distinct look, feel, and culture to all 4 of them. And right now we're walking through the Armenian quarter. And it's really fascinating because, according to some sources, the Armenian presence in Jerusalem dates back to the 4th century, which kind of means that this should be the oldest living diaspora community outside the Armenian homeland. And so a bit of history so we know where we're walking. Right here, we see these walls that are also have like buildings inside these walls. Well, these look old, but they actually date back to 16th century because they've been refortified, they've been rebuilt by Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent of the Ottoman Empire. And they call him magnificent because of the vast expansion he did of the empire. He conquered many lands around here. And that's a lot of what we see in Jerusalem. To really dig down into history, especially the history at the time of Jesus, we need to go down many feet down below the ground to actually get to the 1st century layer. But some stuff do peak above the ground, which is the Tower of David, where we're going to next. So now we're passing by, on our right side, a very incredible place, the Church of Christ. It's one of the first, if not the first, Protestant church in the Middle East, established in the early 19th century. Okay, so right here we are approaching the Tower of David. It is a magnificent sight, and it holds one of the most incredible views of the entire old city of Jerusalem. But before we go there, we wanted to show you something that happened to us when we were leaving Jerusalem. After we were done walking through the old city, we wanted to exit the Jaffa Gate and go to our hotel. But as we get there, here's what we find. So what we assume is happening here is all of these people who are coming here for the Jerusalem Day. There is such a big crowd, and the old city is so small. I think the police is stopping them to make sure that it's all organized, and they're blocking the entrance for this crowd, but they're trying to push in and not letting the people already inside to get out, which is what's happening right here. And the police is saying, please open up some space so that people can go out of the old city. And so we're just forming a line and trying to squeeze out of this crowd to make it out. There was a little baby there, and they tried to hold him up. Now, if that baby fell or somebody fell down, that is a real danger of a stampede. It was a pretty stressful situation because when you can't move your arms, when you can't lift your arms when you're squeezed so much by the crowd, we think that can create quite a danger that if somebody falls, they could get severely injured because people can't go down to help them up. They can't get up, walk all over that person without even wanting to do that.
Everybody started pushing. That's scary.
Yeah, they panic, they push.
If you fall, that's
Children fall and they go right over them. Even humans. Wow.
A real dangerous situation. If you see this, just avoid this and go to another gate unless you want to just push your way out and make it through, which is kind of what we did here.
We need to go. I said we go down there. You know, you want to go here? Can we go? No, they blocked it. They blocked it.
We were able to find another way, another route, so I think the police actually did a good job at navigating the traffic, blocking some streets, opening others. People are excited, they're dancing. All in all, the whole Jerusalem Day actually ended up being fairly safe as far as we heard that day, because sometimes there are some altercations between Jewish population and the Arab population in the city, but this day actually seemed to be pretty good in 2023. There's another Jerusalem Day coming this year, 2024. With everything that's going on in Israel today, we're not sure how calm or safe it's going to be this time, but we're thankful that we were able to record all this. Okay, without any further ado, it's time for Tower of David. So we're located right now over here at Jaffa Gate. This is where all the commotion is, and here is the entrance to the Tower of David. And here we are at the Tower of David. We did not expect to go in, but today, because it's Jerusalem Day, the entrance is free. And it is absolutely amazing. And you will see now why.
Some of them are Herodian, yeah. Yes, these are Herodian. Oh, wow.
So we are walking up to the Tower of David. Now, here's where we are, in the complex called Tower of David, and we're climbing up the stairs inside of this structure. Once we get on top, we're going to see an absolutely breathtaking view of the entire Jerusalem, including the Temple Mount.
Let's keep going higher. We are on David's Citadel, a museum, exhibition in Jerusalem. Never been up here before. This is amazing. Wow. Oh, they're gonna have a big concert down there. Come over here. Oh, over there. Oh, yo. Yeah. As long as we keep moving, it's gonna be nicer. How are you so fast? My legs, they're cramping. My legs are cramping up.
You're not supposed to cramp for 2 days.
Then you have to carry me tomorrow.
I'll take care of it.
You only need to sleep very well tonight because I don't think I'll be able to walk tomorrow. Wow. At sunset, guys, we're here at sunset. Look back. Yo. What a view! What a view!
Yes, this is absolutely incredible. It was hard to soak it all in at once, and the camera doesn't do it justice. Yes, we see it through a lens on a two-dimensional image, but when you're up there, fully immersed in 360-degree views of 3,000 years of history, it's hard to explain in words. So why is this thing called Tower of David? And like we mentioned in the beginning of the video, it's actually believed not to be of David's origin. But the general consensus is that what we see on top of most of the structure there actually dates back to the Mamluk and the Ottoman period. But it is built on top of the ancient fortification of the Hashmoneans and the Herodian structures. And those are those large stones we've seen as we were going up. Obviously, if you dig deep, you will find stuff that date back to the First Temple period, which is absolutely unbelievable. And so doing an event here for, let's say, Jerusalem Day is an amazing idea, because then you're kind of in a place that has history dating back to the First Temple period. But the actual name was traced back to the 5th century, and it was the Byzantine Christians who believed that this was the palace of King David. And I can totally see why they would think that. And hey, maybe they knew something that we don't today, but the general consensus is that this is built by King Herod due to the structure size and the rocks, and just everything matches. But what's underneath? Yet to find out. But we don't want to keep boring you with all this history. Obviously, if you want to learn more, just go and look it up yourself. There's so much information out there on this place. We were just excited to be up here. It is an unbelievable view of Jerusalem. I don't think we've ever seen a better view of the entire Jerusalem as from up here. So from now on, whenever we take somebody to the city of Jerusalem, this is going to be a mandatory stop, even if we need to pay to get in. And next time we come here, we're going to go through the entire thing and explore it much more in depth, because we barely scratched the surface. But even the short visit was absolutely incredible, because we got to see these amazing views and just think of what has transpired here 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, what is happening here today, and what is yet to come. And we hope you enjoyed this video. We hope you enjoyed the Tower of David and the whole experience. So we'll leave you here until next release. And as always,
the best is yet to come.